All right, this is January 24th. It is almost the end of the month. And I'm super excited. I've been thinking a lot about this particular episode. And I picked a subject and a topic that I really feel like ultimately is another place that I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs, both soon to be and existing, kind of I don't know, take the hard way. I don't know. Maybe have an attitude or a perspective on going forward with this particular subject that I want to describe and detail here in a minute. That I believe if they had a little bit of input, probably would have a lot better experience. And so, for today, basically, the broadcast that I want to spend at least 15 minutes on is the whole hiring and recruiting. Okay, in the very beginning, you probably have considered you're going to need some help, but at some level, you're like, I don't know if I can afford people. You probably already know that, and so you're going to just do it yourself, right? So you don't need people yet, potentially, and so you haven't really probably put a lot of thought into it. I'm sure you've had that idea of wouldn't that be cool if I had people to do this stuff so I didn't have to do it anymore, right? Be it to sell or maybe to have to do some of the more menial work. Maybe it's the monotony of any type of business. But at some level, it's so you can go and focus on maybe what you're really excited about. Maybe it's the creating part. Maybe it's the selling part. Maybe it's the management part. Maybe it's the operations. Maybe it's the whole go think of new ideas part. In the end, if you have people and you can profitably afford them, right? Then you're well on your way to building a great company, right? And I would think at some other levels, those that are already a business and you have people, at some level, they're causing you a lot of stress, right? Because you're probably not making as much money as you would like, but you don't know how to, if you let them go, all that work goes on your shoulders, and there's a whole bunch of chaos that may happen with your customers or with your own life. That it's just not a positive thought to think, not to have them. At some level, you're thinking, gosh, if they would just do more work, or if they would work, smarter. I don't know if they would go the extra mile, that you wouldn't have to do so much. Okay, so we got that whole gamut, right? From the people that haven't hired anybody to the people that have hired people, and this topic, the next 15 minutes dedicated to hopefully some really awesome information about hiring and recruiting. So, I guess what it really boils down to is, what do you believe about people? There was a time where I believed that hiring people was terrible. Like, if you could build a business without hiring people, dude, you were brilliant. And because they're expensive, right? They come with baggage. They take vacations. They do things that ultimately you have to deal with. They may even cause you risk, right? They might say something to a customer. They might break something. They might ruin a sale. They could fall and break their leg and cause you other, problems, right? And so there's this idea that at some level that employees are hard. And there's another level where you don't even think about those things. And you're just thinking, I just need help. I just need someone to show up and do these things. And that's cool too. Here's where I want you to begin to potentially change the way you think and feel about employees. Okay, first, and I mean this, employees are human beings, right? Just like you. If you take the approach that you're the boss and they're your lowly employees, and I believe you would treat them that way because that's how you've been treated. I guarantee that. Stop it. I'm telling you right now, you'll have a terrible experience. You may get what you want. You'll probably, ultimately make them do what you want, but you will end your experience with them thinking you're a jerkstick, that you are egotistical, unorganized, unfair, right? And I promise you, when you hired these people, you weren't at all wanting those things. When you started your business, you probably weren't thinking, I want to be thought of that way, okay? What's so cool about employees is they can do work that you can't. And you wouldn't hire them if that wasn't the case. So don't look at them as a pain in the rear. Don't look at them as if you just didn't have to hire them, you wouldn't have to deal with them. Don't look at them as stupid. Don't look at them as inept. They may not be the smartest people. They may not be. You may hire somebody that just isn't that smart, and that's okay. We're not all, brainiacs around here, right? They may not even be that skilled. They may not even be that experienced. Who knows? You might be hiring PhDs in biochemistry for all I know. In the end, most employers have this, in my opinion, really warped opinion and perspective towards employees. And that is that somehow they're less than you are. Have you ever felt that way? Have you ever had a boss treat you less than, like you can tell he's thinking less of you, or he thinks low of you, right? He might, be polite and be like, now there, pumpkin, In a way, there's nothing really mysterious about that type of thinking or behavior. And that is this. It is nothing more than a reflection of how that person, that employer, feels about himself or herself. Nobody deserves to be treated poorly. Even the employees that drive you nuts. Okay? One more time. Nobody deserves to be treated poorly. Nobody. If you will come into this relationship as an employer to hire somebody, and you treat them as valuable, worthy individuals of respect and love, even if they're jerks, even if they have terrible habits, all those things can still be true. And you can still choose from the beginning to say, I'll never treat you poorly. Now, you may have to fire them, okay? You may have to demote them. You may have to, I don't like to use the word punish, but let's say put them on probation, right? Because of lack of follow through or ability to follow the rules that you believe are material to your business, okay? So you treating them with respect has nothing to do with also holding them accountable, okay? And I don't blame you at some level that someone has treated you that way, and at some level you believed that's the way you treat people. So that when you're a boss someday, you'll show them, and somehow you'll let the crap roll downhill. So here's where things get really cool. If you come into the attitude of, hey, everybody I meet, potentially I can make a difference in their lives, and I need them to be profitable, right? Or at least productive. And they may not work out. And it's nobody's fault. You can beat yourself up saying, gosh, I wasted all this time with this person, and that person might beat themselves up saying, why did I go work for that jerk? I would say you're not responsible for how they feel, and be responsible for how you feel. And if you're uncomfortable with them after you've hired them, that's okay. You can go and say, listen, it's not going to work out. Why not? I don't know. I worked hard for you every day. Totally true. And I need to let you go. So part of the issue with going into hiring somebody is you need to have the attitude that these people are worthy individuals, whether they work for you or not. And there are going to be some that drive you nuts. Everybody knows that. But the problem is, if you take it personally, like they're out to get you and everybody around you are idiots, man, I don't know how much I could emphasize this, but they all can feel that's how you feel. And if you hired people, if you worked for someone like that, and you felt that coming off your boss, what are you going to do? What are you going to work harder? You're going to go the extra mile? You're going to be smarter? I promise you that won't work. It just won't work. So my tip to you is this. If you really want employees to do a great job for you, no matter where they come from, how unskilled or unintelligent they might be, no matter where they come from, if you really want a great company and them to go the extra mile for you, you got to treat them like they matter. Okay? Treat them like they matter. That's your secret number one. Treat people like they matter. Because when they feel like they matter, because you help them not feel like they're worthless, okay? Again, you don't control how they feel, but if you treated them with respect and they walked around going, you know what? I don't know if I'm doing a good job, but I know my boss treats me with respect, meaning I know I've screwed up and he's held me accountable. But every time he did it, he didn't do it personally. Like, I'm going to attack you because I'm so mad at you. No, I'm holding you accountable, and I really believe in this company, and I believe in you. And that's why I'm holding you accountable, right? I mean, that kind of logic, right? Maybe you don't say that, but listen. When your employees feel like you care about them, right? That doesn't always mean pay them more. It doesn't mean give them what they want. But when they feel like you care about them, they will watch out for you. They will mind the store for you when your back is turned. But when they feel like you think they're a crook and they're gonna rob from you the minute you turn around, and if they feel like at any minute they have to be treated like a child, like, let's lock up all the snacks because people might eat them, right? Like, I don't trust you, so I'm going to lock them up. Or I'm going to lock up the tools because I don't trust that you will return them. And I don't trust you as an adult, so I have to, micromanage you at every level. Well, guess what? I totally get those feelings. I've been there. You're not crazy. You don't have those feelings about people because you're insane. Because you've been let down. You've had things stolen. You've had people abuse you. Okay? And at the same time, if you treat people like that, guess what you're going to get? It's crazy, but you're going to get more of that. So if you're worried about them being honest, and so you treat them like they're thieves or going to steal time from you, guess what they'll give you? They'll keep stealing time from you, and you will go insane. And you'll eventually fire them, and they'll think you're a jerk. And it's this really terrible doom loop, okay? But if you treat them like, hey, I'm going to trust you. I'm going to hold you accountable too, but I'm going to trust you. And in the end, if you steal my stuff, I'm going to fire you. But I'm not going to treat everybody who walks in the building like a thief. The point is this. There are thieves. There are people that are dishonest, and you're going to hire some of those. And you're not going to know it until it's too late. Doesn't mean everybody is. And when you treat everybody like they're schmucks, dirtbags, the people that aren't those things, they're going to resent that, and they're going to feel it. And what will end up happening is they'll hurt your company. Not because they're going to intentionally hurt your company, but they're going to hold back their love, and they're going to hold back their goodwill. And when your employees start holding back, dude, you are wasting your freaking time. You might even be successful still. You might still be making a profit, but you'll never have a great company. You'll never have that feeling like people freaking care about you. Because in the end, the reason you treat people that way, and you look at employees that way, if you do, is because at some level you want them not to do those things. But when does it make sense to say, hey, stop yelling, and so you yell at them, right? It's like, parenting, right? Kids are yelling at each other, so you're like, stop yelling at each other. And they're like, you yell at us, right? But again, it's hard. But if you can just realize that the way you treat people is a direct reflection of how you feel about yourself, then you'll realize real quick when you treat people like poop, it's just because you feel like poop. And I mean that. And people know that. Like, when people have done that around me, before really realizing this principle, this truth, it was really easy to take it personally and basically think, wow, I must be a terrible person. And if he thinks I'm a terrible person, well, screw him. I don't care about him anymore. That guy doesn't even like me. Forget him. And that guy will only keep getting what? That same feeling that you ain't going to work hard and you're not going to do a good job. So just imagine that for a minute, okay? So I talked about recruiting, okay? So when you're going to hire somebody, don't look at them as like, I got to figure out if you're smart. All you have to figure out is, do you trust them? That's it. So you might still want them skilled, but don't worry about the whole, like, I got to figure out if you're smart enough to do the job, or if you're if you're qualified. Those things, yes, are important, and every business has certain levels of, I really need qualified people because unqualified people really cause me brain damage. But in the end, you really just have to make one determination. Do you trust them? So secret number one, treat people like they matter, because they really do. It's weird. And no matter where they come from, no matter what, even if they're freaking drug dealers, they still matter. I mean, if they've been in prison, they still matter. You might want to be a little cautious with those folks, but they still matter. And then the second thing is just figure out if you can trust them. And if you get that vibe of like, I don't know if I can trust them, and you might be like, I have no clue how to figure that out. If you get this weird little vibe about them that isn't so super, smooth, super good, super, comfortable, that's your gut telling yourself that you're not trusting them. Now the problem is there are people that can help you feel like you can trust them. and could be total shysters, right? So in the end, you need to figure out if you can trust them. And when you trust them and they break your trust, don't look back and go, oh, shoot, I knew it. I knew that guy was going to, do this. I knew better. I should have. I should have never trusted him. Okay, now you're talking about insanity. Don't do that. Just say, okay, I'm going to make a conscious choice and I'm going to trust you. I don't know how I'm basing that, but I'm going to trust you. And when they break your trust, okay, they broke your trust. And then take another conscious choice and do something about that. Either walk up to them and say, look, I can't feel comfortable with you here now that my trust has been broken, so I'm going to let you go. And they may not like that. You may not even like that. The other side of that is you can say, you broke my trust. I don't know how you're going to earn it back, and I still need your help. That world exists too. So just realize your conscious level towards your behavior on how you treat your employees will drastically improve or destroy your ability to build your company. And I promise you this, you treat your employees well, and I mean emotionally well. I'm not saying you have to pay them a ton. I mean, they may want that too, but they will do more for you than you could have ever asked them to do, more than you could have ever demanded from them. And you might think, if I don't crack the whip, if I don't yell at them, and if I don't do all these hard things, people will take advantage of me. Maybe. But in the end, you yelling, screaming, manipulating, threatening, basically pounding your chest, yes, you may see results from that. And you may be convinced that that works. But what's really happening is you're undermining the very foundation of your company. Because you can't build a company without people. I don't care if you're in a robotics business. You still need people at some level, somewhere. And if nobody trusts you, and nobody believes in you, and nobody loves you, and again, you can't make people love you. But in the end, if they can feel that you don't love them, trust me, you ain't going to feel any love. So let's spend about another 2 minutes on recruiting. So recruiting is kind of an interesting element. Recruiting, at least for me, is a little bit more than hiring, right? It's the element of getting people in your door to give you some ability to figure out if you want them in a part of your company, right? You might get them in the door and they might still say, no, thanks, I don't want to be here because I don't want to be a part of this. But recruiting is your ability to sell the company. And I would wager, and I would advocate, that if you recruited like they would make the most amazing contribution to your company, that you could get more people to come to your company. But if you treat people like, I need people, so I'm going to let anybody work here, but I think you're all scumbags because some of you guys are going to, do a terrible job and you're going to waste a bunch of my money. And I would say that they'll feel that. They'll feel that in your advertising. They'll feel that your reputation will precede you. And whether you're a new startup or you're in your business, just realize that employees are everybody around you. Future employees, right? Because at some levels, they may walk through your door, and if you treated them like, like a jerk, who wants to work for that person, right? So treat recruiting like a 24-hour job, and that's just you being nice. Just be nice. Because at some level, you're going to need those people to talk to you. Because you may, at some level, need them to figure out if they want to work for you. And if you are out there basically not recruiting, right? Ultimately trying to help people understand why they want to work for you. Because they can make a choice. They could work anywhere. Even if the economy was terrible, they could still work anywhere. And what I mean by that is they may want a job really bad. Like think about 2009, 10, 11. Terrible years, right? To try to find a job. And, 200 resumes for one position. In the end, they still may have to make a choice. Even if you say you're hired, they still have to make the choice to say, okay, I'll show up. They may show up because they have to, right? But in the end, if they're thinking, I don't want to show up, there are some jobs out there that are hard, right? And they're hard to fill. But I promise you, people will fill those positions if you help them feel like you care about them. If you don't know how to help people feel like you care about them, maybe we should do another topic. Maybe that's how we should spend another, broadcast. Maybe we can get some comments and say, what exactly is it that helps an employer communicate that their employees matter? Maybe I'll write that down. Maybe that's a good episode for another day. Ladies and gentlemen, that is it for tonight. It's a short one, but I want you to know hiring and recruiting are one of the most important aspects of your company. Even if you don't like hiring and you don't want employees, they're still one of the most important. You might say it's your tech, you might think it's your services, but in the end, your employees will ultimately give you the leverage and the momentum to just keep doing all the fun stuff that you like to do. And the alternative is this: they will be the hardest thing that you'll have to deal with if you don't get them behind you and to support you. Okay? So if you have a hard time with those things, write me in. Don't forget to rate and subscribe. I would love your comments. Ultimately, your comments are helping me dictate what we talk about. Thanks again, and have a great night.